Football Wednesday. Cash King, expert in fantasy sports, Mikey Wall. Sports Goombahs Fantasy Football Wednesday brought to you by Graph FX Screen Printing, 267-789-5491. Also, Automatic Car Care, AutomagicCarCare.com. Call 215-322-2561. And by Castle Public Adjusters, 215-782-28.com.
Yes, thank you very much for that live introduction. And somebody may be asking, why is Cashy on the camera doing that? And it's a good question. I do want to know why Cashy's here. I'm just kidding. I was going to go at it alone, but Cashy, he had my back. Had a last minute call out, so I was going to come with you solo dolo, but Cashy, he's got my back, and he'll make me, like I said, he'll make me look smarter, and that's what it's all about. So thanks for joining me today, Cash.
My pleasure.
We're going to get ready for week 9 of the fantasy season. Before we get into it, some quick bye weeks out there for you, because this is the first six-teamer of the year. So rankings can get a little thin. Your roster is going to look a little different. So we have the Arizona Cardinals, Baltimore Ravens, Detroit Lions, Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs, Seattle Seahawks. Not exactly a juggernaut of teams, but there's some talented players mixed in there here and there who are not playing. Don't forget, you guys can always call us, text us, 267-563-2893. You can tweet us at Sports Goombahs on Twitter. And we had the special, the giveaway, the Temple tickets. We gave that last week, and you guys, you sent in your best efforts. I actually hate to say this. I'm not happy about it whatsoever. The winner, and again, so preface this by saying the person who won is not actually going to get the tickets. And your reason for that is because actually my girlfriend won.
Oh,
I hate to say it, because she took I put out the rankings on the website. One quarterback, the quarterbacks, the running backs, receivers. I don't do tight ends, kickers, defenses for obvious reasons, and time constraints being number one of them. Two, who cares about kickers and defenses? So she literally took my number one quarterback, my top 2 running backs, my top 3 receivers, that I put on the website on Wednesday and for everybody to see. She added that with her favorite player in the NFL, tight end Rob Gronkowski, and her favorite team is the Houston Texans. So she took the Texans defense, Texans kicker. So my rankings, what I gave out to you was 191.6 points, which was second best. Her team came up with 197.6. 197.6. So she won, but of course I'm not going to give it to her because, for one, she doesn't want to go. She's not a football person. She did it because I said, hey, send a team in. So the game is November 21st. Still got 2-3 weeks. I'll find another way to give his away. I want to give him to somebody who's not me, because of course it's 2 tickets. Who would she take? She would take me, and I don't want to get the tickets myself.
That's the 57 caller.
That's not. Yeah, okay. Caller number 4,000 tonight. You'll get these tickets. Again, it's 8 rows from the field. It's a nationally ranked game. It's probably gonna be a national televised because of the fact that there's 2 good teams playing in it.
Temple.
But we'll find another way to get those to you. You guys tried your best. Pat sent his team in. It was not good. I won't say it was not good. It was not as good. A couple of I know Pat was bragging last week. Good luck beating my team. Well, many of you did actually.
That's the team. If I could have played, that was the team to put in there.
You should have. And it's funny because actually my personal fantasy team in 2 of my leagues did beat that perfect quote unquote roster. Then again, who would have thought that Drew Brees would throw for 70 points?
Why do we think you have?
Nobody had Drew Brees.
Why do you have a show here?
Yeah, I know.
Because you don't know what you're talking.
I know. I do know. I'm talking 7-1 in the league that I'm a commissioner in. But yeah, nobody had Drew Brees. All you had to do was have Brees. You pretty much would have beat me.
Well, I had Manning. I beat the whole league with that.
Yeah, well, I can assure you that if you have your pick of the litter, you're not choosing Eli Manning. It's not going to happen. Like I said, tonight we're going to be doing obviously the rankings, some starters, some sleepers, some busts. Also, I'm giving away a little mid-season awards. Some mid-season awards for some awards I obviously created myself. I'll hand those out in the second half of the program. So I'm going to kick things right off with quarterbacks. And he's playing, so he's number 1. It's just by default. It's funny because I always look around other places. I'll look at ESPN. I'll look at Yahoo, Sportsline, Sporting News. I look at every just to see what other people are saying out there. And I think maybe one of them had Tom Brady number 1. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Tom Brady is my number 1. He's always gonna be my number 1. He's my baby, my boo. He's the GOAT. Tom Brady number 1. He's at home against Washington.
People probably say that because is he trying? I know he's running points up, but he's managing these football games too.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a bad game. Like,
yeah.
Like, and that's in. I'll talk more about Brady later when I give some of these awards out. But I mean,
I think he's got pretty much.
I think he's gonna win one. He may win one. But yeah, I mean, I said it's not like he has a clunker. There's none out there. And he's at home against Washington. Washington's defense has been better, but it's still Tom Brady at home. And I'll take Tom Brady on the road against anybody. I'll take him at the Seahawks. I'll take him. He's always going to be number 1.
The mission man.
I had a number 2 once as an accident, and he got mad at me. He threw 4 touchdowns. Number 2, a guy that I had, I believe, number 2 last week, that Pat was not as high on, and a lot of people were not as high on, but Drew Brees. I said he was number 2 quarterback last week. Threw for seven touchdowns. So I'm going to stick with him. He's number two again. He's at home again. I'll always take Brees in the dome. At home against Tennessee. Statistically, Tennessee actually has a good defense, but again, they're 1-7. I think Brees will have a good day. Because like I said, their defense isn't good enough to where it's over by the second quarter. The game, they still may need to play. That's why when I was watching that game, like I said, I had Brees in one league. I actually didn't realize I was playing against Brees until I checked later in the game. But
he's heating up, man.
Yeah, he is. That team is heating up.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm sitting here watching, and I know he's going to keep going because I know their defense is going to give the Giants going to come right back down and score. Yeah. So it's not one of those games where it's okay, halftime, 4 touchdowns, that's it. No, he's going to keep going because he literally needs to. Number 3, Andy Dalton at home against Cleveland. Those games have historically been points. And he's the home team, and he's coming off. I actually had Dalton pretty low last week at Pittsburgh, and I was right. He only threw the 1 touchdown, but much better environment getting Cleveland coming into home. So I like Dalton number 3. Number 4, Phil Rivers, also at home. He plays the Bears. Bears aren't as bad actually as they were about a month or so ago, but they're still the Bears. And hopefully, Rivers. People started buying into the Rivers hype about 2-3 weeks ago,
and he hasn't really
done anything since then. Yep. So we'll see if he can pick it back up. At home against the Bears is a good opportunity to do so. Number 5, the 6 touchdown boy, Eli Manning at Tampa. Good matchup.
I like that.
But hopefully the weather cooperates. With Tampa, for all it may pour for 20 minutes, and then that's all it takes. I don't like playing. I don't like outdoor. That's why I always try to go with dome guys. It's when they're playing.
That's the fancy rule.
Yeah, that's why I love it. Anytime Breeze is at home, I'm in on it. Number 6, Aaron Rodgers. Again, he's. I don't want to say he's been disappointing. I think that's fair to say. But he's dropping, whereas before it was you could pencil him in 1, 2, or 3. Not the case anymore. I don't have his game log. I had it right in front of me, but it's not. Ever since that Chiefs game where he destroyed them, he hasn't had one dominant game.
Right. Last week he's not invincible against a good defense.
No, and he's going at Carolina, who is a pretty damn good defense. Maybe not Denver good, but it's on the road and it's at Carolina, who's undefeated. Another battle of undefeateds. Number 7, Matt Ryan at San Francisco. Matt Ryan has had every chance to just put up numbers. These last couple of games, he had Tampa at home. Yep. Forget who we had last week, Tennessee.
He's cold now, man.
Yeah, he's getting these great opportunities, and he's not putting up. And that's why usually I would see somebody at San Francisco, my eyes would light up because of how bad they are. But Ryan, number 7, he's been a letdown for me on the year. I think in the preseason show I had him as my number 5 or 6 quarterback. Definitely been a letdown. Number 8. Normally this would be, we would have laughed and put it top 2 or 3. Ben Roethlisberger at home against Oakland. Playing Oakland's not. It's not a pushover. It's not a guaranteed 30-plus point game. Oakland's pretty good now. That being said, still like Roethlisberger at home. He's still getting, he's getting back and getting healthier. I'm hoping he gets Antonio more involved, gets Latavius more involved. I'm obviously losing Le'Veon Bell for the season. That hurts. But D'Angelo Williams looked just as good. Yep. Yeah, and we'll talk more about D'Angelo Williams.
Just dropped him.
Did you really?
Just dropped him.
That's a shame.
Remember I told you I was holding him for.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I told you can get rid of him.
Yeah,
that was my fault.
I dropped Starks this week too. I'm going to worry.
Yeah,
about
he stinks. He stinks.
Yeah, but they're injury guys.
Lacey's a big fat ass though. Yeah. He's huge. Number 9. This is actually, I guess technically it would be a sleeper pick. I don't have him as my sleeper, quote unquote, but Sam Bradford, number 9. I saw him as low as like 24 on some rankings, but Dallas isn't good, and I feel the comeback. I don't think we're going to lose to Dallas twice. So I think we're going to get the win this game. I think Bradford will throw at least 2 touchdowns, maybe, hopefully 300 yards. It's good. It's a bad team, and it's in a dome. I like those combinations. I don't think we're going to lose twice to Dallas.
It's Dallas defense, 3 touchdowns. Yep.
Dallas defense is solid. I don't think 3. I mean, I said 2 is what I was hoping for, but I'll take 3. Number 10, Peyton Manning. And I would love to have just not put him on at all, but he's at Indy. I mean, that's he'll feel at home again. And Indy's not good, as we've seen. So, again, most against pretty much anybody else, not anybody, but a lot of the teams I wouldn't have had Manning top 10. He has not been good. He's not at all been good. Again, we'll have more on him later in the awards, possibly. But number 10 at Indy, I think it's a good situation for him. Number 11, Ryan Tannehill at Buffalo. Buffalo's D is not as good as we all thought it was going to be going into the season. Tannehill's been hit or miss. When he hits, he really hits, puts up 50 plus points. When he misses, he doesn't look good at all. So we'll see. I mean, it's not the same Dolphins from the first half of the year. They're much better. And number 12, I have Derek Carr at Pittsburgh. Yeah, I could have put him ahead of Tannehill probably. I think the matchup's tougher though, being at Pittsburgh. I never like anybody going into Pittsburgh, and like I said last week, not so much because Pittsburgh's defense is so good. It's a tough place to play. The atmosphere, the stadium, the conditions, never a real easy place to go into and play well. But I have faith. I mean, here we are. I have faith enough in Carr to go and play pretty well. I also have for my sleeper pick of the week, and also what I want to do going forward. I realize that every week I put up my sleepers and my busts of the week, but I never really follow up on them. If I have a good pick, I'll mention like, oh yeah, Willie Snead last week, But now I want to follow it every week so you guys know. I don't want to, and I'm just picked this week because I had great picks and I want to brag about it because I missed on one of them. But so my sleeper pick this week, I don't know who it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be Mariota. But I just put the Tennessee quarterbacks. Whoever the Tennessee quarterback is, I'm assuming it's going to be Mariota. If not, hell, I'll still put Mettenberger in. They're playing at New Orleans. Good situation being in the dome against a not good defense. If you're desperate.
Large scoring game.
Yeah.
Has to be.
I think anytime New Orleans plays, there's going to be points on the board, especially in New Orleans. It just creates points.
Watching that secondary play last weekend.
Yeah. And my last week's sleeper pick of the week was Jay Cutler. He ended up with 21.5 points, which is actually pretty good. So I nailed. I don't say nailed it, but that gets a win in the win column for me. My bust starter, my bust sleeper. My bust of the week this week, and you'll see a recurring theme of this, but it's Andrew Luck. He's at home against Denver.
I think it's personal, man.
It's not personal. I liked Andrew Luck. At preseason, he was my number 1. I think actually was my number 2 quarterback preseason, but. He's at home, which is a plus. He's in a dome, but he's playing Denver's.
Where did that fourth quarter come last week, man? Out of nowhere, they were even talking about how terrible he was playing. And what was they did something? It was an interception or something happened, and all of a sudden he came out and bang, 2 touchdowns, a field goal, overtime.
Well, I didn't get to see all the game. Obviously, I was a little preoccupied on Monday nights.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard, but we do this show on Monday, 9 p.m.
I
know. I'm just trying to get it out there.
This game was at 12 o'clock.
I know, but I don't really have any interest in either of the two teams, and it seemed like it was a sloppy game.
Well, I texted you. I said that he's back.
Yeah, and I immediately said, no, he's a fraud. And what did he do? He threw a pick in overtime. So it was right on cue for both of us.
I should have done that.
But yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck against that good. We saw what they just did to Aaron Rodgers. So Luck is not Aaron Rodgers. No. Especially when he's banged up. So I don't like Andrew Luck this week. My last week's bust pick of the week was Derek Carr. So I couldn't have been more wrong on that when he had 37.1 points.
He's a real deal.
He is. Yeah, I mean, I thought playing as on the road against New York, the Jets were a good defense. But no, I was wrong on that one.
I picked him up just for defense, so someone else couldn't get him last week.
You played defensive fantasy football.
I do whatever I take.
I know.
To win, man.
And what's the record? Isn't it good?
I'm 6-2. Right?
There you go. Waiver wire. I don't see. There's nobody out there. There's nobody. The only new starters really was Manziel, but I mentioned him last week. If you want to throw a flyer at him,
he's starting this week.
He's starting. He's starting tomorrow night. Yeah.
Right.
So
they keep trying for him.
They keep. I mean, why not? You invested the first round pick, and might as well throw him out there. So that's what I have this week for quarterbacks. We're gonna get into the running backs quickly here. My number 1 running back, and he's starting to get Brady-esque in the fact that it's just going to be number 1 no matter what he plays against. And it's Todd Gurley at Minnesota. Another 100-plus yard game, and I think at 125 and a touchdown.
He's a new sheriff in town.
He is. Yep. Yeah, I mean, he's going up against AP, so it's like, the old sheriff against the new sheriff, and we'll see who can handle it. I mean, Gurley literally he can't miss. He can't miss at all. So yeah, I'm riding him number one. I don't care who he plays. And Minnesota's defense is solid. They're a good team, but I'm riding on him. He's a big guy, yeah.
It's for a back, for running back with that kind of speed and movement. Absolutely.
And coming off the ACL, imagine if he didn't have that.
Yeah.
Number two, although I said last week, ACL tears are like the sprained ankles of 10, 15 years ago. Like it doesn't matter. You may miss a year. You come back and you're exactly the same, if not better. It's like Tommy John.
Right.
They say you come back throwing harder after that. It's like just go ahead, tear your ACL on purpose.
They do something to improve it,
Put some extra ligaments in there or something. Number two, Devontae Freeman at San Francisco. He's been solid. He's been steady. He's obviously not putting up the 3-touchdown games anymore, but at San Francisco, they're bad. So I'm gonna ride with Devontae. Number three, Adrian Peterson. He's at home against St. Louis. St. Louis is a good defense, and Peterson, he was first overall pick in a lot of leagues. Hasn't really played like a first overall pick, but you can kind of count on him to not have a bust. He's never going to go up there and put up a 4-point game. He's always going to get you double digits. Always he'll be always in contention for a touchdown. Number four, I have Mark Ingram at home against the Titans. Again, I expect points in this game. He's been catching more passes this year than he has in the past, and he's 15 plus a week at this point. He's a top 5 back he's getting there to where he's top 5 every week. Number 5, I have Chris Ivory. I think this is by far the highest I've had him all year. I'm not usually a big Ivory guy, but got to respect the fact that he's playing well, and he is at home against the Jaguars. So I like that matchup, and I can't see them throwing the ball a lot because Geno has to be the quarterback going forward.
How did he play last week, Geno?
He played like Geno. They lost the game.
Yeah.
So that's what we get at Geno. And number 6, this is going to be paying you for you personally, and that's D'Angelo Williams, number 6 running back already at home against Oakland. Oakland's run D is not good, so that is a favorable matchup as opposed to Roethlisberger against the good pass D of Oakland.
I got to tell you, if I had D'Angelo still, I don't know where I put him in here. I had a little bit of a.
I'm assuming you can find room for the number 6 running back of the week.
Is he better than Ingram?
No, I just had Ingram number 4. What else you got out there?
I got Hillman.
Yeah, I'd start over Hillman.
I got also have C.J. Anderson, which
see, there you go. But I'd start over both of them.
More defensive football playing there.
Yeah, but D'Angelo Williams, I mean, he's been Bell-esque at running back. So fill him in. I mean, if you were lucky enough to have the top waiver pick, congratulations, you guys have a top 10 back already. Number 7, Doug Martin at home against the Giants. We just saw what the Giants defense looks like. And Doug Martin's had a really good year. So I trust him actually as a top 10 back. I never thought I'd say that again after 2-3 years ago. Number 8, DeMarco Murray at Dallas. Why not? The revenge factor hopefully will be there. I'm pretty sure last time we played Dallas, that was the game where he did absolutely nothing, I believe. We had 9 yard, 2 yards, what it was. It was the second game of the year. That was Dallas, right? Yeah, so I don't think he's going to go for 2 yards or on 9 carries again.
If he doesn't step up this game for whatever reason, and I don't want to hear about no offensive line block, and this is a game he's got to be up for. Yeah,
this is a game where if he rushes for 3 yards a carry and Ryan Matthews is rushing for 5.5, this would be the game where after this you say, okay, it's Matthews. Yeah, it's Matthews' job now.
A lot of talkers there in Dallas when he left. So
I mean, I just think going into Dallas, he can't have another bad game like he had week 2. It's too much revenge factor on the line, and the fact that the running backs aren't exactly great this week, so that's why he's as high as he's at number 8. Number 9, Lamar Miller at Buffalo. Again, Miller he's been much better obviously since Coach Campbell took over, but he didn't have a great game. But then he played New Orleans last week, so this felt like a while ago. It was 10 days ago, but yeah, he played New Orleans, and nobody's gonna have a good running game against New Orleans. You just don't do it because you're losing by so much. Number 10, LaShawn McCoy at home against the Dolphins. They're actually playing each other here. So I like both these guys to have solid games. Nothing crazy. I don't expect any. Actually, I mean, from pretty much everyone here down, I don't expect any kind of crazy games.
McCoy's quiet this year.
He's quiet, but he'll have a quiet 85 yards and a touchdown, which even if he doesn't catch any passes, that alone right there is getting you 15 plus points.
It's just being in Buffalo. What happens to you.
Not a lot of
that's where you go to fade away.
There's not a lot of lights on you, not a lot of cameras on you up there.
Yep.
Number 11, Jeremy Hill at home against Cleveland. Hill has been bad. May hear more about him later, but he's been really bad. But this matchup, actually, I might as well run off the next 3 running backs. Like I had number 11, Jeremy Hill, number 12, Gio Bernard, both against Cleveland, and number 13, Duke Johnson at Cincinnati. So I have 3 running backs all playing each other back to back to back. I expect points, like I said, from in tomorrow night's game. And especially with Cleveland having Johnny Manziel at quarterback, I don't expect a lot of deep or outside passes. I think Duke Johnson could benefit from a lot of dump offs. So I like Duke there.
I have Bernard on my bench. He's another running back that I have. I was
he's a solid play. I mean, he's better as a PPR guy, which I know you're in a PPR league, which is a good thing. So I mean, I expect Hill to score a touchdown, possibly 2, or Bernard, possibly score, but he'll catch some balls. They'll both be over 60, 70, 80 yards ish.
Is he better than Hillman?
Is he better than Hillman? Well, I had him ranked ahead of Hillman. Hillman's playing. And what I say is gospel.
Yeah, as I'm reading here, I'm seeing that.
Hey, a little thinking out loud. I appreciate that. And my number 14 is the fatty. It's Eddie Lacy. I actually tweeted a picture. I don't know if you saw that on the Sports Goombahs Twitter page. And it's a picture of him taking a handoff in practice as a rookie and him taking a handoff as a practice this year. Have you seen it? The picture? Oh, man, he's a behemoth now. I mean, I think he has lost weight since that picture because that picture was preseason. But good Lord, look at this. You see that?
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
That's a big boy. He looks like me in that second picture. Those thighs.
He's not padded up there, is he?
No, it's just straight belly. He has natural padding. But he didn't have a great game last week. Again, it was against Denver. He's at Carolina. I don't know why. I just think he'll play solid. He'll play better. He can find, I guess, technically, quote unquote, won his job back. Starks didn't really have much of a presence as opposed to 2 weeks ago where at least he couldn't get on the field. Number 15, I have Ronnie Hillman at Indy. I think Hillman's still the guy to go with in the Denver backfield, and this is a favorable matchup. Indy's not very good, but it just scares me the fact that if Hillman was getting the amount of carries and the amount of first team touches like a Lacy was getting, I would have Hillman higher. But he's always to split carries with CJ. CJ's still there. He's not going anywhere. And I don't dislike CJ Anderson this week either. I think it is a good matchup. I think Hillman's a play, between the two.
He's had the same kind of, DeMarco Murray had the same kind of problem. He can't get past the line of scrimmage. But last week he did actually on 11 carries.
Yeah, their line hasn't been as good as it was previously. Number 16, Darren McFadden. I'm safe to say this is his first appearance on the top 20.
Yeah.
But he's had back-to-back 100-yard games. He's playing Philly at home. Solid matchup. Our defense has improved, but you can still run on us.
Yeah, he's gonna get his.
And I expect that they just cut Joseph Randle. I don't know where that came from, but so I think it's pretty clear cut that McFadden is their guy, and he's gonna be their guy going forward the rest of the year. Number 17, Deion Lewis. After his mysterious, DNP 2 weeks ago, he came back last week and had a good game. He had 20+ points.
Was he injured?
He was hurt, apparently. Nobody really knew about it until the morning of. If you didn't check your lineup an hour before, like Pat said, he had Deion Lewis in 3 lineups. He was not happy about that. But last week he came back, he played, and he played well. Like I said, he had a bunch of catches, and he did what Deion Lewis does. He catches multiple passes, takes it for some yards, and he gets his 15, 20 points. Number 18, Jeremy Langford, who's taken over for Forte. His Forte is banged up. They're going to miss a couple weeks. So Langford is playing at San Diego. I'm not a Jeremy Langford guy. I know there's people out there who are. But San Diego is, I don't know if they are now. I know going into last week, they were the number 32 run defense in football. That's not good. It's not good at all. It's the worst in the league. So they can't be much better than that, after this week. So I'll take overall the dice on Langford if you have to. Like I said, we're pretty thin now on running backs. Number 19, as you can tell, we're thin. Ryan Matthews. I don't know. I would never want to start Ryan Matthews. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it.
You get what's he averaging about?
I don't think he's getting enough carry. I don't think he's enough carry. I mean, he makes the most of it. He always does, and he can catch a pass. But I mean, like I said, if we're getting to the point now where we're starting backups, there's only 26 teams playing, so I mean, there's some, obviously I'm not going to start the 49ers starting running back or anybody like that. And number 20, Jonathan Stewart, home against Green Bay. He's scoring touchdowns now. At least Cam's not poaching him entirely. So the Denver ran all over Green Bay. So I'm confident in Stewart to at least bang a touchdown in there. My sleeper running back of the week, Shane Vereen at Tampa. He's catching passes, and that's really all he need him to do. I like these kind of running backs. I never really was used to be a big fan of these kind of guys. Because it was kind of, I wanted a guy who's going to get touches and a back that I can count on. You never really can count on running backs to get these catches. But recently, I mean, you can count on Shane Vereen and Duke Johnson and Gio Bernard to get these catches at the backfield. Deion Lewis. So I like him at Tampa. And my sleeper of the week last week was Dexter McCluster. I told you it was deep. It was deep if you were really deep for it. And what do you have? You had 12.7 points. Yep. He only had 36 yards from scrimmage, but he had 4 catches and he returns kicks. I know a lot of leagues. The one I'm in, my commissioned league, you get return yards. Yeah. So with factor that in, 12.7 points. If you're stretching for a running back, I give that one. Put that one in the win column for me. My bust of the week, like I said, there's gonna be a theme here. Mine's Frank Gore, and I'm against Denver. I don't like him. I don't like his matchup. I don't like his team. I don't like anything about it. My bust last week was LeGarrette Blount, who had 8.4 points. I would consider that a bust. So chalk another win up for me. 3-1 so far. Waiver wire pickups of the week. Obviously, D'Angelo Williams. Like I said, if you got him, congratulations. It's early Christmas present there because he's gonna be the guy going forward. That's why I would have put him, claiming him obviously over like a Jeremy Langford. Langford's a good pickup for the next week or two, however long he has a job. After that, he just goes back to anonymity. Pierre Thomas apparently was signed, and now people are picking him up in all the leagues. I wouldn't want anything to do with Pierre Thomas. I don't want anything to do with any 49er, really. But he may be the start. I don't know if he's going to start as soon as this week. Kendall Gaskins is currently penciled in. Probably last year.
Last year, so he was just what?
Yeah, it's not like he's been out of the league for a while.
Yeah.
But he wasn't very good. That's why I cut and nobody picked him up. So they thrust him immediately into your fantasy lineup. I don't recommend it, but if you want to take a flyer, because somebody's got to be the running back there. Bush just tore his ACL. He's out. And who knows with Hyde? Hyde's fickle.
They're in trouble over there, man.
But yeah, like I said, Kendall Gaskins, another guy if you really need to. He's penciled in right now to be the starter in San Francisco.
Is there anybody on offense on San Francisco you're worried about that you can actually, the quarterback is new.
That is as of right now. I don't know how bold I want to say it. This might be the worst offense in years.
There's not a person on the.
There's not one. We're looking at their starting lineup for this week. I don't know Anquan Bolden's status, to be honest, because I never look at Anquan Bolden because I don't like him. But I mean, you have especially they just traded away Vernon Davis, who I already didn't like this as anyway. But
and if you take Kaepernick out of this lineup,
the thing you have a quarterback of Blaine Gabbert, you have a running back of Pierre Thomas / Kendall Gaskins. Your receivers are Quinn Patton and Torrey Smith.
Here's the thing:
and tight ends Gary Selleck or something like that.
You take Kaepernick out of there, and you don't even have the threat of him running anymore, which you always had a little bit of that going. If you got out of the pocket, at least if you turn up and go upfield, you don't even have that anymore. As a linebacker, what are you doing out there? You're like, you're just rushing the quarterback, man.
You're just waiting for the game to be over. You're trying not to get hurt. I want to search that line now that I'm looking at it. I mean, it's Atlanta going to San Francisco. It's gonna be ugly. I think it's gonna be really, really ugly. I have
Atlanta as my team. I sit Green Bay.
Atlanta's only a 7-point favorite.
Because it's in that's light, man, for a 6.
It is light because, like I said, I mean,
Atlanta, right?
think of the lineup I just read off to you of Gabbert, Gaskins.
It's not a player you would take on your team.
Yeah, exactly. Quinn Patton and Selleck. Not even Brent Selleck. It's the other Selleck. It's his brother.
It's the other Selleck.
That is the worst. That's the worst weapons I've ever heard any team ever have.
There's no weapons. Man.
Yeah, I'm saying they're by definition they're skill position players. There's no skill there.
Yeah, there's not. Well, evidently they're done.
They're better off. This is just line Kaepernick up at receiver. I mean, he's tall. He's fast.
And they won a game. They won 2 games, right?
They won 2 games, yeah. Well, but that was when they had, like I said, they won the opener, but Carlos Hyde ran for like $170. I mean, Kaepernick was still there. Bolden was healthy. They still had Vernon Davis. Torrey Smith apparently still runs fly patterns.
The Niners are going for the number 1 pick.
I don't think it's obvious they're going for it.
Kaepernick
but they're bad.
Yeah. You bench him. You don't even want to try to win.
But Kaepernick has been awful.
Right, but even he still gives you the opportunity to get a big play or something somewhere.
Possibly.
But he's just you've seen him do it before, so there's a chance he can do it again. But anyway, you look at what they're doing; they're now positioning themselves for the number 1 pick. Obviously,
yeah.
Your quarterback.
They need a couple teams to rattle off some wins to jump ahead of them.
Yeah.
But like Tennessee, I believe I don't know what was Houston have 2 wins maybe 1.
Yeah, well, that's another team too. Houston, right?
But Houston has the best receiver in football, arguably top 3, and DeAndre Hopkins. So at least they have something to hang their hat on. There is literally nothing going for San Francisco. So
usually there's one player on your team you key on. Every NFL team has that player.
But they're so bad to where I'm not going to put them as bust of the week because if you are foolish enough to start a Niner, then good, God bless you. That's your fault.
Right.
Well, quickly, we'll get into the receivers before we take a break. My wide receiver number 1. Especially after what he did last week, I can't not put him number 1. Odell Beckham
he's
at Tampa.
Up,
he's heating up, yeah. He's getting, as long as he's healthy. I know he was banged up for a minute. as long as he's healthy and he's got Eli Manning throwing to him against the weak team like Tampa, I think he's going to put up another big game. Number 2, Julio Jones at San Francisco. Like I just said, San Francisco is a mess. This game can get ugly, and Julio gets all the targets. I think he had another 11 catches last week.
He might get 4 this
week.
I
think like 160, 170 yards. Yeah, it's going to be another game for Julio, another Julio game. Number 3 receiver, Alshon Jeffrey at San Diego.
Man, finally, pots and pans.
Yeah, he's finally here.
He's my flex.
So yeah, it took longer. He was weak for he was day to day for 2 months, but he's finally back and he's playing well. He had a second straight good game against San Diego. I expect it to continue. Number 4, Demaryius Thomas at Indy. Again, like I said, I like his matchup being in a dome. He's getting his points. He's getting a lot of catches and yards. He only has, I think, like 1 or maybe 2 touchdowns. He's not scoring a lot, obviously, because Manning is not playing well. But if you're in a PPR league and you get 11, 10, 11 catches for 120 yards, it's 23 points. Anyone's going to take that out of a top receiver. Right. Number 5, Antonio Brown.
He's back.
Yeah, he had an okay game. I think he had like 16 because he was in my quote unquote perfect lineup that I put up. He had 16.7, solid. Not wide receiver 5 numbers, but the upside obviously is tremendous. He could theoretically put up the number one stats of the week without question. Number 6, I really feel like this guy is probably the most underrated receiver in football because he's not a lot of talk, but you hear the name, you're obviously scared, but AJ Green. AJ Green is putting up some of the best numbers in the league this year. He's scoring every week. He's getting 9 catches a week, but he's not in the Odell Beckham, Julio type, Antonio Brown, thought. He's not in that same conversation really because he's quiet and he plays for Cincinnati. But yeah, he's gonna have another big game at home against Cleveland. Number 7, Julian Edelman at home against Washington. I don't think the finger's a problem. Yeah, I don't think the finger's a problem. He's pretty solid.
This wide receiver core, Edwin Brown and
Alshon. Yeah, that's good.
That's a winner right there.
That's good, and it's not one of those things. Because I've been in leagues with people who went, and I've done it before in the past where they've gone receiver, first 3 picks, and then they're bragging like, yeah, look at my receivers. I'm like, because you spent your first 3 picks. Right. The guys you're mentioning, they weren't your first 3 picks.
No, not at all.
No, because you weren't. Alshon was probably a 3rd. Yeah. Ellen was probably a 4th, 5th, right. Something like that. So it's not like you just
Brown went number 1. I took.
Yeah, obviously you had to do that for that. But so that's a good lineup. That's a good receiving core right there. My number 8 receiver, Jarvis Landry. He's still solid every week. I don't think he's had a bad game. I have to check his game log, but I don't think he's had a bad game all year. And he returns kicks, so he's always getting a little couple bonus points here and there. Number 9, Brandon Marshall at home against Jacksonville. Like I said, I like the matchup. I just hate the fact that Gino's gonna be throwing balls now because he had such a good thing going with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Never thought I'd say that, but yeah, they had a really good connection going. He would make a bonehead play here too, but that affects them. It doesn't affect our fantasy team. The worst you can do is lose me 2 points on a dumb lateral. But he was getting double-digit catches a week. I hope he keeps it up. It's a good matchup instead of at home against Jacksonville. Number 10. First time I've mentioned his name since probably week 1. Dez Bryant. He reported no side effects, so no related re-aggravations of injuries or anything like that. He gets Philly, and receivers have good games against Philly.
Did you see him really run routes though, man?
No, he didn't. But like I said, I mentioned this. I think I mentioned it on the Monday show. He was just there for a decoy, I think,
right.
just to basically say, all right, Sherman, you got to cover me. Everybody else do your thing. Unfortunately for them, they didn't do their thing because they don't have much else. But I think obviously we don't have a Richard Sherman. We thought we did. We paid for a Richard Sherman, but we didn't get a Richard Sherman. So I think Dez can have a game. Obviously, his quarterback situation is not going to help. It's an awful situation. But I think the upside, it's a risky play. But I think the upside is tremendous.
You sit there, you look at Cowboys at 2-5, and they're still in it.
Everybody's in the NFC East. It's like the AFC South. Everybody's in it. Theoretically, the Titans are still in it. Yeah. What are they? 2? Were they 3 games back? Maybe 2.
Play that bad at football. Have nobody. You're still in this thing. Crazy.
That it is.
It's a key game for him, though, man.
For both of them,
yeah. Teams, yeah, big time.
If Dallas loses, I think you can. I know you can write them all. Number 11. He keeps climbing week after week. He started as a waiver pickup. He moved up to one of my sleeper picks. Last week, I think he was at him in the 16 range. Now he's number 11, Stephon Diggs. Mm-hmm. The guy's legit. Unfortunately, that's something the Eagles couldn't find, a good 5th-round receiver to come out of this burst on the scene like that. We're still stuck with nobodies. But Stephon Diggs at home against St. Louis, I think it's a good matchup for him. and he's by far their lead guy. I mean, Mike Wallace isn't even getting looks anymore. It's all Stephon Diggs. Number 12, Emmanuel Sanders. Obviously, I've never been as high on him as I have been Demaryius. Still a solid play at Indy. Is a good matchup. I'm pretty sure he got shut down last week. I don't think he only had like 2 or 3 catches. Number 13, Mike Evans at home against the Giants. Evans, this is a hit or miss guy right here. This guy either has it all or he has nothing. But playing against the Giants, like I said, we know what the Giants just did. They got completely torched in the air. So hopefully Evans can recreate some of the last week's magic and do it again. Number 14, Allen Hurns at the Jets. Now, I clear cut. I like Allen Robinson better than Allen Hurns. It's pretty obvious, but he's going up against Revis, and I mean, the Revis shuts people down.
He's playing well again.
He just shut down. I mean, he played against Amari Cooper, who's a physical specimen, and he shut him down again. I mean, so I don't. It's getting to the point where I don't even want to. Yeah. I don't want to have guys in my lineup when they're playing against Terrell Revis.
And he was supposed to be heading downhill.
Who?
Revis.
Yeah, no, that's why Patriots got rid of him.
Yeah.
No, he's not going downhill.
Not at all.
No, he's not at all. So
even with the rules the way they are, he's not going downhill. That's even
so on the opposite end
special.
Of the field. I like Allen Hurns to have a good game this week at the Jets. On the other side of the sidelines of that same game, I like Eric Decker at home, obviously against Jacksonville. Decker is, I don't want to use. I think it's a little much to say he's a touchdown machine, but I think he has like 5-6 touchdowns already. He scores almost every week. I think he missed one game, so that's why his overall numbers won't look as good, or his ranking for the year won't look as good because he missed the game. But Decker's been solid, and he's a weekly start now. You don't have to really think too much unless you have lineup like you do. Number 16, Brandon Cooks at home against Tennessee. It's tough because I know Breed's going to put up numbers. He's going to do it, but the question is, who's he going to do it to? Is it going to be Cooks? Is it going to be Snead? Is it going to be Colson, who came out of nowhere with I think he had 2/3.
He's the tight end. He's been hitting.
Yeah, I was going to say Watson too. Whereas before, I didn't even know when Ben Watson was in the league anymore. Yeah, I really didn't know that.
Yeah, a touchdown, 100 yards.
Yeah, the 100-yard game and a touchdown. Yeah, that's what it seems to be what he does now.
You know how I know that?
Because you played against him.
My tight end.
Is your tight end? Well, there you go. That's a really good pickup. You have a pretty damn good team there. But yeah, of the receivers, I always think Cooks has the most upside, obviously. But theoretically, it could be any one of them. I don't think it'd be Colson, but I think it could easily be Snead, the top guy again. Number 17, Amari Cooper. He's finally free of off Revis Island, found a life jacket, and it's going to be in Pittsburgh. So I like Amari Cooper this week to have another bounce back, having a good game. Number 18, a guy who's actually been pretty much along with his quarterback and his running back, really. The whole team, even if the record's good, kind of a disappointment, and that's Randall Cobb. A lot of people expected Cobb. We all expected him to put up Jordy Nelson numbers, but he's not Jordy Nelson. He's a complimentary receiver. He's not a go-to star ace receiver, and he's not. But he's still a solid fantasy guy. But now he's getting more towards the lower tier, wide receiver 2, whereas a lot of people are drafting him as their number 1 guy. Number 19, Pierre Garçon. With Deshaun coming back, which he's rumored to be doing, it may take away from his production, but he's actually been really good quietly. The whole Redskin team has been pretty good quietly. But he's at New England. Again,
could they be the best team in the East there?
Yeah, I hope not, because that team, I think when we did the over-under show, I think I had him as an easy under, and I think I had him as like 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah.
I think they're already at 3 or 4 wins.
With Deshaun.
Yeah. Without Deshaun, yeah, now they get him back. And my number 20, I guess it's a super pick because he's been really bad, and that's Jordan Matthews. I just think this is a good chance for him to come back. I think, having the bye week off to forget about that game he had.
Couple catches, and he's right.
And he always gets. That's the thing, is he gets the targets, and that's a thing that's a big to look at. It's not always about how many catches. If guy A catches 6 balls on 7 targets, and guy B gets 6 catches off 14 targets, right. I would still rather have a guy. I don't care if you're dropping him because you're getting more chances, and that's probably going to stay the same week to week to week to week. Right. He's going to get the most targets. Jordan Matthews always gets the most targets, and we throw the ball, pretty decent amount of time. And like I said, against Dallas, I think it's a good opportunity for Matthews to bounce back and have good games. Because at one point this year, after the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, we were all, Matthews was a top 10 to 15 receiver every week, and then he fell off and kind of forgot about him for a little bit because he's been bad. But he said you don't lose points for drops. So I don't care if you drop 5 balls. If you catch 7 of them, I'm fine with that. 7 for 70, give me 14 points. Maybe catch a touchdown, make it 20. Boom. I'm fine with that.
Fantasy for drops.
Exactly.
But to keep them up with the way the NFL is lately, it might be another stat they throw in there.
They should. My sleeper pick of the week, Robert Woods at home against Miami. Again, this is kind of dependent on Sammy Watkins not playing because obviously if Sammy plays, he'll get the majority of the looks. But Woods had a really good game before the bye. And solid matchup against Miami. Miami, you can throw on him, obviously. I mean, granted, Tom did, but Tom does that on everybody. Last week's sleeper receiver was Rashard Matthews. He had 13.2 points. He had 6 for 72. And that's fine because like I said, he's a guy where you're not starting him probably, but if you really needed to, like I said, he's a sleeper pick. And he was good. Look at that. That was nice. And my bust receiver of the week this week, like I said, it's going to be a theme. It's T.Y. Hilton, again, at home against Denver. I don't like anybody on that team at all this week. Obviously, I don't like them forever. That's only them this week. It's a rough matchup. If they can make Aaron Rodgers look pedestrian, trust me, they can make the Colts look pedestrian. I mean,
it wasn't just pedestrian.
Yeah.
They took him out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Texans made them look pedestrian this year. So I think the Denver's going to do the same thing here.
The question is Macklin, he's out, right?
I don't know yet. Well, the team's on a bye. Jerry Macklin?
Yeah.
Well, the team's on a bye, so I don't know. Yes, he is out. The whole team's out.
Right, well, I'm just saying, I thought he was injured. Was he injured last week?
He was, yes. He had like concussion issues.
Waiting for the to come up on the waiver wire with my league.
I don't want to talk about your league. Your league, you come in every week I come in here like, oh yeah, I just picked up Emmanuel Sanders off the waiver wire. Like, why? Why was he there? You have the weirdest waiver wire going on there.
See, like my crew likes to dump players on the bye week.
Yeah, they don't realize you can keep them and get somebody. No, starters on a bye, got to cut them.
Yeah.
So let me get in your league now. As long as it's for money, I'll get in your league.
Man,
that's
cash is little. It's not.
That's free money.
Thousands here. We were talking hundreds.
Last week's bust was Golden Tate. He had 11.9 points, which depends on your outlook. I mean, if you think that's good, then it's good. But I think it's a bust. I don't heard
much from him this year.
I've never been a Golden Tate guy. I like Golden Tate as a receiver. I guess technically I don't. No, I don't. I don't know what I feel about him. I don't like him in fantasy. I never want him, but I feel like in the right situation he could be good. The situations he was in Seattle and now here in Detroit, they're not the situations that I think he'd be good in.
Some plays.
Like if he went to he went to Green Bay, yeah, I'd be a huge Golden Tate fan. If he went to New England, yeah, I'd be. But just I don't like the situations. And the wire pickups of the week, pretty thin when it comes to wire and the waivers. Receivers on the waiver wire. Malcolm Floyd was the obvious one to pick up with Keenan Allen being out for the year. That was a huge injury. It's a lacerated spleen. That sounds awful, but so yeah, Malcolm Floyd will get the bulk of the targets now in San Diego for a team that we know likes to throw. So that's why I'm saying if you're really, really desperate and you really want to go deep waiver, Dontrell Inman from San Diego, because like I said, they're going to keep throwing the ball. That's what they do. So somebody's going to have to catch the ball. And I know Gates will catch a lot, but somebody's have to get it. And also, like I said, Marcus Colston, if you're desperate and you think New Orleans can keep that up, he came back to his old form yesterday as well. So that's receivers. Cash. Take us to a break.
We'll go to break.
We're going to come back. Like I said, we're going to come back with I got some awards I want to hand out to people.
Yeah. You got it, man. Sports Goombahs Fantasy Football Wednesday. Cassidy King. I'm here with Mikey Wall.
Oh, like I said, you can always call text 267-563-2893.
There's no sense not to. If you're having trouble in your fantasy football, this is the show where you get it right.
We got some props on Twitter last week.
Yeah, we're proving
somebody.
Oh, wait a minute. We're not going to break. We're getting a phone call. Hold on 1 second. Sports Goombahs, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good. How
you doing?
Who's calling?
Good. Well, first of all, I want to say I completely agree with what you said earlier about the ACL. It's nowhere near what it used to be.
It's nothing. You take a year off and you come back, you're fine.
Yeah.
But question: I got some buys this week with Lynch, Chris Johnson, Hopkins.
Ouch.
So I picked up Langford off the wire.
Yeah, he's a good play for a week.
4 backs with my 2 flexes, 2 flex leagues. I'm starting 4 backs this week.
Mm-hmm.
And wondering out of these 6 backs, what 4 should I start?
Mm-hmm.
We got Hillman, Deion Lewis, Yeldon, Langford, Duke Johnson, and C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I mean that's really. For having 6 running backs and considering you have 2 already on the bye, it's pretty strong 6. I would bench Yeldon this week. I don't really like his matchup going up against New York. So I don't like Yeldon this week, so I can write him off. And at that point, just go with whoever you don't like of the Denver running backs. I would prefer Hillman. So other than that, I would go with the Hillman, Duke Johnson. Trying to think of what else you said. Deion Lewis, Jeremy Langford. That's the 4 I would go with.
I was actually planning on dropping one of the Denver running backs based on what happened last Sunday night, and then they both come out.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
17 points.
It's through everybody. I had the same situation. In one of my leagues, I have both of them. It's like, well, I plan on cutting C.J. Anderson, but no, he had another good game, 100 yards.
I picked him back up this week.
But I also agree with what you said about Jordan Matthews. I think it's just a confidence thing. I think he's going to come back to life a little bit.
Yeah, the balls are always going to be there for him. He's just got to catch them.
Look at last year. I mean, he really came on in the second half of the season last year.
Exactly.
He really do most of the first half of the season.
Exactly.
But with that being said, I had a trade offer. Someone offered me Jordan Matthews. I was trying to go. I mean, Chris Johnson, I should probably rather have over Yeldon because he's getting like 25, 30 carries a game.
Yeah. Ellington's an afterthought.
For some reason, I like Yeldon more.
If it's not a keeper league,
he wants Yeldon over Chris Johnson for Jordan Matthews.
Depending on the receiver situation, I would do it because you have a lot of depth at running back. You can afford to.
That's what I mean. I got just them 6 backs, and then I got Lynch and Chris Johnson.
Exactly.
5,
so you could, you have 6 to 7 guys that you could start on a weekly basis and not be embarrassed by starting them. So I would move one of them. Yeldon actually would probably be the one, just because of his situation. If it's only a yearly league and you don't need to worry about keeping him or rolling him over again, I would move him for Matthews. I think that'd be a good trade.
I'm not in bad shape. I still got Beckham, Hopkins, and Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So
I'd say it's not bad. That's 2 top 5 guys.
But what do you how do you feel about LaFell? I also have him on my bench.
Not a LaFell guy. I think he's gotten passed by Amendola when it comes to looks. And he had a horrible case of the drops in his first game. So I'm not huge on LaFell. If you want to roster him, that's fine. I would never feel comfortable starting him.
Belichick don't like drops.
No, and I think he likes Amendola now. Whereas last year, Amendola couldn't get on the field.
They're the prototypical quarterback, wide receivers for that team.
Yeah.
I know. He did have like 14, 15 targets in his first 2 games back.
Yeah, he was in the same kind of situation as Matthews, where he literally dropped. I think he had 7 drops first game.
Yeah. But you think I should move Yeldon because I have too many backs and I don't know what to do with them all.
Yeah, I would definitely move.
Last week I left way too many points on my bench.
And you're going to run into that a lot because you're going to have such a decision to make. I always prefer the decision be made for me than have to choose which of these guys who all could start. I would definitely move Yeldon for Matthews.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
All right. That's all. Good show, guys, and have a good night.
I appreciate it. Thanks for checking in.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll come back with your awards summary. All right, Cashy King, Mikey Wall. We'll be right back. Had damage to your house? Avoid the hassle. Just call Castle Public Adjusters. Get the edge on your insurance company. 215-752-1237. That's 215-752-1237. Or check them out at castlepa.com. Don't settle for less. Get the maximum for your claim. Castle Public Adjusters. 215-752-1237.
Hey, yo, Cassie, what are you doing?
I got plumbing problems here. I can't get the water to go down the drain. What am I going to do?
Call Guaranteed Plumbing, 215-342-7200 for all your plumbing needs. Serving the Philadelphia area and the greater Delaware Valley.
What was that phone number again?
215-342-7200.
Oh, yeah, oh.
BZI Group Inc. for your individual and small group health insurance needs. BZI offers free instant online insurance quotes and applications from major health insurance carriers. The BZI Group is dedicated to a no-nonsense approach to health insurance. They focus on giving you the insurance you need in a timely and cooperative manner. Whether you're looking for individual and family, group, seniors, life, or long-term coverage, BZI can help. For additional information or to speak with an insurance expert, call 1-800-431-4834 or email them at www.bzigroup.com.
back.
I don't know if your microphone's on. I can barely hear you. That's just me personally. That's probably for the best. I prefer that actually. But yes, like I said, I want to give out some awards. We got about 10 minutes or so left. So this is the first annual SG Fantasy Football Show awards show here. A couple awards I want to give out here. Kick things off. Obviously, we're gonna go with the MVP. Who's been the MVP of the first half of the season? Like I said, most teams are 7 or 8 games in the year, which is pretty much the official halfway point. So who has been the fantasy MVP of the year? So congratulations to Mr. Tom Brady. Now, a couple of things. I mean, numbers wise, he is the best player, but it's also, like I said, it's the most valuable. You got a lot of value out of Tom Brady because you drafted him late. I'm assuming you did that. I mean, even if your draft was that couple days after the suspension was lifted, which the suspension was literally lifted like 2 days before the season started or something like that, because my draft was like a week before the season started, and at my draft he was still suspended. That's why I was lucky enough to get him in the 11th round. But I was looking at Brady's. I want to throw some numbers at you too for all these things. I'm not just blindly throwing awards out. Tom Brady's worst game this year, fantasy point wise, was, I think it was week 3. I don't remember the exact week, but I know it was at home against Jacksonville. Now you'd assume that would be his best game, but it was one of those games where they were up by too much and kind of stopped. But his worst game of the year, stat-wise, fantasy point-wise, was against Jacksonville when he threw for 358 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was his worst game of the year, Cashy. That's an MVP to me. When that's the worst you could possibly put up, you're the MVP. He's not had a bad game. He has not had one clunker.
So he's averaging 300 yards a game.
No, he's had games where there's one game where he only threw for like 280,
right,
but he had 3 touchdowns. So with the points and the touchdown, you got more than that. That was his worst. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, average wise, because I think he has like 2,200 yards, and they played 7 games. So yeah, he's averaging over 300 yards a game. He's insane. He's insane. Tom Brady. He's the MVP.
He's angry.
Yeah, and I said it since the preseason show 1. Like I said, we are all witnesses. We all bought a ticket to watch the Tom Brady FU tour, and he lived up to my prophecy more than even I thought he was. I mean, I did not see this coming. I really didn't. This has just been unbelievable. And on the contrary, we have the least valuable player who has been drafted. He got the least value out of. That'd be the fatty. Eddie Lacy comes in as this year's the first half's LVP. He's currently 33rd in the league in rushing. He has 298 yards, so he's on pace for like 600 something. Not good. He's actually 33rd, like I said, in the league in rushing. He's behind Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has more rushing yards than him. That's not a good thing. I mean, he's been a bust. I mean, if you started him, there's been games where he's getting the one game he had 0.4 fantasy points. He's had games with 2. He's had games with 4.5. The guy's going to bust flat out. Like I said, a lot of guys, he's getting drafted top 3 to 4 in a lot of leagues. This year's rookie of the year, who else could it possibly be? Cooper's had a solid year, but no, it's Todd Gurley. Yeah. Todd Gurley has 4 starts. In those 4 starts, Cash, he has 566 yards.
Without Tom Brady, he's the MVP too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you drafted him late, so that would help his values thing. But from rookie of the year, I'm going strictly statistical. He's 5th in the NFL in rushing. He's 5th in the league already. He's only played 4 games, and he's 5th in the league in rushing. I mean, granted, of course, this is not, this is easy to do when you only have a small sample size for the whole prediction or the projections or the pace for. But let's just have some fun. He would be on pace if he had averaged these points, for 16 games, 2,264 yards
in a passing league.
In a very passing league. This is not the old days.
Right.
But Gurley has been unbelievable. Even though he's only played 4 games, he is the rookie of the year. Because, like I said, he's the rookie running back, and he's like I said, it's his 2nd week in a row. He's the number 1 ranked guy. So that's the rookie of the year for me. This is my I told you so award. For something I told you was going to happen. Other than the Tom Brady FU tour, I told you it was going to happen, and it happened. I told you, do not draft Jamal Charles. He will get hurt. And what happens? He tore his ACL. You drafted him in the top 3 pick, and now, boom, you're done. You don't have your first round pick anymore. So the I told you so award goes to every single person out there who drafted
I remember that.
Jamal Charles, and I said, don't do it. And when he was playing, yeah, he played well. And I still had him as a top 5 back, for the weeks that he was playing. But I told her, don't take him. don't take the guy. He's going to get hurt. This is what he does, and it's what he did. The Tough Break Award. That's for something that's just rough. Like I said, it's a tough break. It's Le'Veon Bell. I mean, the guy got suspended for 2 games, and it's not so much just to Le'Veon Bell, it's to his owners as well. Because I mean, if he was playing from day one, he was going first overall. Everybody was taking him first overall. He was the best player last year. He was going to be the best player this year. But you know, you drafted him anyway. You knew you were going to get him for 2 weeks, so you stuck it out. Here you are, your week 3. You finally get him. He had a couple of games, and boom, 4 weeks later, badly torn MCL. His season's over as well. So it's a tough break if you draft Le'Veon Bell, because probably I don't want to say your season's over, but your season's probably over. The Comeback Player of the Year award. Again, this is a guy. It's pretty much a no-brainer. It's Larry Fitz. Larry Fitz came out. He was complete nobody for. I actually pulled up his numbers. Last 3 years, his average season: 72 catches, 845 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That's borderline ownable in fantasy. I mean,
in the 6th round in my league.
Yeah, I mean, and this year again, you know, it's on pace for 110 catches, 1,412 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Right. The guy's been unreal, and it's not like I said. It's not just he had a hot 2 or 3 games, and he's kind of living off that kind of, you know, the stigma of, oh yeah, he's having a good year, right? No, he's just having a good year, like legitimately. Every week he's having good weeks. So, Larry Fitz, welcome back to the NFL. The Hang 'Em Up award for the guy who just needs like I said, he needs to hang him up. He needs to file his retirement paperwork. It's not happening anymore. It's Peyton Manning. I'm sorry, Peyton.
How could you say that?
I love Peyton Manning.
You can't take. I know he's not playing Peyton Manning football, but he's undefeated. And
see, Monday you have an argument. Wednesday you have no argument. This is a fantasy show.
Okay, you're all right.
See,
okay. Well,
as a game manager, see, your Monday sentence, your Monday sentences are kicking in.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, and I would be right next to it. But you know what? When it comes to fantasy football, we talk numbers. Numbers. I don't care if you're 7-1.
I know.
I don't care if you're 16-0.
I don't care if you throw 7 interceptions that game. If you throw 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
the problem,
no,
it'll still balance. The picks are worth, or the touchdowns are worth 3 times as much as the picks. Right. So, Peyton Manning, right now in my league, which is standard scoring, I don't do any kind of crazy bonuses or it's standard scoring. He's 28th among quarterbacks.
Well, and you said you drafted Manning and
Brady.
One of your teams on the same team.
Yeah, but my other league is a dynasty league where I've had the same team for 4 years, right. And I've had Brady. I mean, I've had Manning. So Manning is my quarterback. I've had to roll him out every week. Right. I dropped Andy Dalton before the season, so so I've been struggling. But yeah, I mean, Peyton Manning, he's 28th among all quarterbacks in points. That's awful. Obviously,
it's never been that way.
7 touchdowns, 11 picks. I mean, before I could say he threw 7 touchdowns in one game before.
Bradford's got better stats than him.
Oh, by far. Oh yeah,
oh, man.
I should have wrote down who is actually worse than, because it's probably like. I can't imagine. I'm trying to think. I'll pull it up for you at some point. But
who's worse than Manning?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Has to be.
Let's see if you have any guesses for me.
I'm gonna go on Kaepernick.
You may have a point there, although his rushing yards may get him.
Yeah,
may get him past it. So I have the list here of all the quarterbacks by points on the season. And let's run some down that are ahead of him. Alex Smith, Joe Flacco. Matt Stafford, Josh McCown, Brian Hoyer, Jameis Winston. I'm still scrolling here looking for him. Fitzpatrick, Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor, Kirk Cousins has more points than him. Jay Cutler, there's Sammy B, Sam Bradford checking in. Then finally, Peyton Manning checks in just ahead of Marcus Mariota, who's missed games.
Yeah.
And Nicky Foles. That's who he's just ahead of. That's and literally the guys behind him. I said he's 28th in the league. The guys behind him aren't even full-time stars. Other than Foles, it's Mallett, EJ Manuel, Whedon. Like these are guys who haven't even played. These are guys who haven't played full seasons. So I mean, of among quarterbacks who've played every game, he's the worst. He's officially the worst quarterback who's played in every game.
It just goes to show how good he is in general.
Yeah, obviously I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah,
but from a fantasy purposes, maybe I won't say he has to hang him up as a quarterback. You need to hang him up from your fantasy lineups.
Right.
You need to retire his fantasy jersey.
He's not that guy.
He's not that guy. Exactly. He's not that guy anymore. The Sophomore Slump Award goes to Jeremy Hill. Jeremy Hill is a guy that everybody drafted as probably the number 1, if not a high 2. And the guy has been an absolute bomb this year. He has done nothing other than he had the 3-touchdown game. But even in a 3-touchdown game, which granted it was good for a week, he only ran for like 35 yards that game. Like, so if it wasn't for the touchdowns, he would have had another awful game. Luckily, he got the carries at the goal line.
Doesn't Jordan Matthews fall into that too a little bit?
No, not so much.
He showed promise last year. Yeah,
he did. But you're drafting Jordan Matthews. And I did a lot of off of draft position. You drafted Jordan Matthews. I'll check and see where he went in my league. Maybe 6th round or so. Jeremy Hill was a 2nd round pick. He was mid-second round pick. So you're rolling your team around him. Like I said, in my other league, my running backs were Lacey and Jeremy Hill. Right. I thought I was on cloud 9 thinking I have great running backs. I don't have great running backs. Jeremy Hill from scrimmage. He had 1,339 yards last year. He also had 27 catches, which was nice. Point per reception league. This year, he's on pace for 747, almost about half of last year's yards, and he only has 4 catches right now. 4 catches. That's not good. It's not good at all. We need those catches as those running backs. Those are the little shady points you don't realize you get. This is the out of nowhere award. This is a guy who literally we didn't know where you came from, and now we are starting you week after week after week. That's Gary Barnidge. We don't talk tight ends much here, pretty much at all, unless your name's Gronk. But Gary Barnidge, the thing is, I was thinking to myself when I was looking up Gary Barnidge, I was like, hey, he's probably been in the league 4 years.
I don't know who he is.
You think he's in the league probably like 4 years bouncing. He's been in the league this is his 8th year in the league. Gary Barnidge, his 7 years total. He actually had 3 seasons where he accumulated 0 stats.
Who are you talking about?
Gary Barnidge.
Okay.
He's a tight end for the Browns.
No idea.
Well, you're going to find out about him in a second.
Obviously.
Gary Barnidge, like I said, he had 3 seasons in the NFL where he did not accumulate a single point, a single catch. He did nothing for 3 seasons. He only had 44 catches his entire career in 7 years. This year, like I said, halfway in the year, he's got 40 catches, 6 touchdowns, and he's only, get this is the most astonishing part. He's only 12 points behind Gronk.
Wow. He's
the number 2 tight end in fantasy football right now. Like I said, I think it probably was one point where I think, after the show, you always ask us, who should I pick up? Who should I pick up? Right. I'm pretty sure you've mentioned Gary Barnidge a week like 2 or 3, and I laughed at you and said, yeah, it won't last. It lasted.
I remember, 2 weeks ago I was looking.
No, it was not 2 weeks ago because 2 weeks ago he was still killing it. He would have been owned. It was probably week 2 or 3. Although you know what, in your league he probably just got picked up a week ago.
Yeah, I bet he's still sitting.
He probably is. Somebody go grab him. When I saw that, I was looking at the tight end points. He's only 12 behind Gronk. I was blown away. I assumed Gronk was having another all-world season, which he is. But Barnidge is literally right on his heels, and it's pretty crazy. And the final award, I actually have a legitimate award, which I'm going to post on Twitter. You can see that I created a little picture for him. The King Garbage, the Garbage King of the Year, it's Andrew Luck. Congratulations, Andrew Luck. You literally do nothing until it's garbage time, and your team's either well out of contention, or you're just padding the stats. So I actually pulled some numbers here. I did a lot of research on this one. In quarters 1, 2, and 3, which it's obviously the majority of the game, 75% of the game. Andrew Luck has 860 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 8 picks in those quarters this year. Wow. So he's -3 on pick turnovers to touchdowns. And he only has 860 yards among 3 quarters of all these games. That's really bad. 4th quarter, 760 yards. So he only has 100 less yards in just 4th quarters. 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's a +5.
You've been screaming about his 4th quarter play.
Because I've seen this on a week. I go up against it, or I'll just check in. And there'll be 6 minutes left in the 3rd, and Andrew Luck has 5 fantasy points, and then by the time the game ends, he has 30. You know why? Because he does nothing. But they're losing. Yeah, they're losing by 20 to the Texans.
Teams are lightening up at the end.
Yeah, of course,
he's coming back to a point to where now they got to play.
Same thing happened. It's funny because like I said, you mentioned that about Monday's game. He did the same thing. He does it every week. He looks god awful, and that's why he's not. That's why his fantasy numbers aren't as bad as what they should be, because he's racking. Like I said, points are points. Doesn't matter if you get him in the 1st quarter or a close game, or
it's hard not to start him if you have.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, he's been brutal. He has been awful until he gets no defense. He gets the prevent defense coverage.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Andrew Luck. Also, this one's even more telling because it's more about his actual pass attempts. Pass attempts 1 through 20 in his game. He has 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions. Wow. On his first 20 passes of the game this year. From passes 20 and more, he has 12 touchdowns and only 4 picks.
And this is 5th year, right?
No, I think it's his 4th.
This is 4th.
His 4th.
Wow, you would figure he would. Well, he's injured. There's something wrong with him.
But
I understand what you're saying. He's capable of doing it when there's a bend and not break defense sitting out there.
Now, if your quarterbacks, if your quarters 1 through 3 and your pass attempts 1 through 20 are more towards average or 50-50 or so, you could just say, okay, that's a clutch quarterback coming up when it matters. No, but when you're that negative, when you're -3 and quarters 1 through 3, and you're -7 touchdowns, interceptions, and passes 1 through 20, you're awful before then. So by default, you're just kind of picking up the garbage time.
Yeah, there's got to be a physical reason there. Well, he's sitting. Well, the pocket's not being rushed, and he's got time to think and pick his receivers out for the first 3 periods.
Yeah, because when you're down, but when your team's up by 20 on defense, you're like, yeah, screw it.
Right.
You can throw a touchdown too. We don't care because we're going to win the game. So congratulations, Andrew Luck. You are. I mean, you are putting up some points here, and I'll give you that. But like I said, it's just frustrating. I mean, as an owner, I remember I actually won. The guy I wasn't playing against him. I'm in the league, and there's a group text, and he's like, he has Luck. It's, oh my god, man, Luck's killing me. And Luck finished that game with 41 points. I think it was 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, because he just went off in the fourth quarter. And it's just like, yeah, it's like you're just like, this is what you do. You're a loser for 3 quarters.
What, like you said, doesn't matter because it's fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said, and that's why I'm not saying the guys is it's unstartable. Like Peyton Manning at this point is pretty much unstartable. Obviously, you can still start Luck. I'm just giving you my garbage time award because that's literally the only thing you can accomplish in life is throwing it when it doesn't matter. So congratulations, Andrew Luck. And those are the SG Fantasy Show awards for the first half of the fantasy season. That being said, that's all I got for you. Like I said, we're going to come up with some other way to give these tickets out because I don't want them. I want to give them to you guys. I want to give them to the people listening. But unfortunately, you didn't beat me. So it's a shame because I wanted a winner. I wanted somebody to beat me. But the line, like I said, in my lineup, and you can pull the numbers yourself. It was all off last week's rankings right down the website. I went Tom Brady. Actually, I don't have the website in front of me now, but it was Tom Brady as my quarterback, Devontae Freeman, Todd Gurley, Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Antonio Brown. My tight end was obviously Gronk. He's the best thing that's ever happened in the world. Kicker was Gostowski, and my defense was the Cardinals. Cardinals didn't do much for me, but that was the lineup. That was, like I said, I came in second because my girlfriend beat me.
The best thing that happened to you in the world.
He's the best thing that's ever happened to me as a person. He's the best thing that's ever happened to America.
When you get home and you talk to your girl, and after hearing you say that, what did she say? You're like, oh, yeah?
Because it's Gronk, she accepts it. Oh, God. She knows. If I was saying that about somebody else, she would not be. If I said it about Brady, she wouldn't like it. She's not a Brady fan. When it comes to Gronk, I mean, it's funny because I have a Gronk jersey. I kind of wanted to bring it up and just hang it behind me.
No problem. We're the official Gronk station here. I told you.
How about we just put in front of the table so all the viewers are seeing is Gronk's jersey. They don't need to see us. Just look at Gronk's jersey for an hour and just marvel in it.
I'll see what I can do on the Monday show for you.
Right? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's all the show I got for you. Like I said, obviously tune in on Mondays for the Sports Goombahs show with myself, Cashy, and we got a chef over here on the left. And of course, check us out next week, same time, same place here for the Fantasy Show. We'll get you ready for week 10. Cashy,
you got it, man.
I appreciate you sitting in on me.
Like I always say, if you want your fantasy team to step it up a notch, you got to tune in on Wednesday nights.
We're giving out the knowledge here.
That's it, bar none. Better than anybody else. You can't go anywhere else to get this kind of knowledge.
Can't.
It's proven here because the two of us are sitting in first place on our team. So.
I don't know how it's happening.
That's the way it goes. Cashy the King. I'm Mikey the Wall. This is the Sports Goombahs Fantasy Wednesday. Have a good one.
Yeah.